Thursday night football, huh? Always a little something extra on the line, wouldn't you say? Especially with the 49ers coming off that tough loss to the Cardinals, right? And then to face their rivals, the Seattle Seahawks. You could practically feel the pressure in the air. They needed this win.
Oh, absolutely. A must win, no question. And don't forget, the Seahawks. They were looking to make a real statement in the NFC West, so pressure was definitely on for both teams.
And let me tell you, this game did not disappoint. Talk about a nail-biter. It was back and forth the entire time. But here's where it gets really interesting. So the 49ers, they managed to build this commanding lead early on, right? Feeling good. But then, boom, out of nowhere, Laviska Shenault Jr. returns a kickoff for a touchdown.
97 yards, can you believe it? Talk about a momentum shift.
I was on the edge of my seat, and for the 49ers, it was a real test. Could they handle the pressure? Because if you remember that Cardinals game, they crumbled a bit, didn't they?
Yeah, they did, but not this time. This time, they answered the call. They showed some real resilience.
They did. It felt different this time. You learned something from that Arizona loss. So let's talk about some of the standout performances, because there were a few. Brock Purdy, he had a solid night. Not the flashiest performance, but efficient. What stood out to you about how he handled the pressure?
Purdy. I was impressed by his composure. He just didn't let the pressure get to him, managed the game well, made smart decisions, and most importantly, he got the ball to his playmakers, which is kind of his job.
It is. And speaking of playmakers, the 49ers run game, on fire, even without Christian McCaffrey. Jordan Mason was having himself a game before that shoulder injury.
Tough break for Mason. But you're right, that's where you really see the 49ers' depth. Rookie Isaac Guerrero comes in, and what does he do? Rushes for 99 yards and on only 10 carries.
Almost hit that century mark, and that wasn't just some garbage time performance either. That was clutch.
No doubt about it. And it really highlights the 49ers' ability to find these hidden gems in the draft. Guerrero, 6th-round pick. Talk about finding value.
They've definitely got an eye for talent, that's for sure. And speaking of talent, how can we forget about Deebo Samuel? I made NFL history, the first wide receiver ever with 20-plus receiving touchdowns and 20-plus rushing touchdowns. It's just unbelievable.
Truly remarkable. You don't see that kind of versatility every day in the NFL. Deebo's skill set is unique, and it's a testament not just to him, but to Kyle Shanahan's offensive genius. He knows exactly how to use Deebo's versatility to create these mismatches all over the field.
Shanahan's offensive schemes, they're like a puzzle box. Defense never knows what's coming next. And Deebo himself said this game was a rust win, said they needed to get back on track. Clearly, those back-to-back losses were weighing on him.
Oh, and you could see it weighing on Coach Shanahan, too. Remember his post-game comments after the Cardinals game? He said he was sick over the loss this week. You could see the relief on his face. This win, it was huge, not just for the standings, but for the team's morale.
Absolutely. But we've all heard it before, right? The NFL is a marathon, not a sprint. So how did this win change the 49ers' trajectory? We'll dig into that and a whole lot more when we come back. We're back. You're still here with us, so you must be just as, well, I don't know, hooked on this 49ers game as I am. It felt different. It felt like a real statement, don't you think?
It did, a real statement, and you're absolutely right. It's a marathon, not a sprint. One win doesn't mean everything. But it does, raises some questions, some interesting ones. Can the 49ers bottle this energy and carry it forward? That's what I want to know.
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Because we've seen, haven't we, these flashes of brilliance this season. But then, well, let's just say inconsistency has also reared its head.
Yeah, inconsistency. It's been their Achilles heel. I think that's a fair way to put it. One week, world beaters the next. They're struggling to even get on the scoreboard.
You're not wrong. So what changed this week? What was different? Was it the must-win energy? Or maybe those key players coming back from injury, getting healthy? Or could it be something else, something, well, less tangible? A renewed sense of, I don't know, focus. Like that fire's been lit after 2 tough losses.
I think it's probably all of it, a little bit of everything you said. But that fire analogy, I think you're onto something. Remember what Coach Shanahan said after the Cardinals game? He said the team was sick over it. Embarrassed.
And you couldn't you? It was in how they played, that edge. They had something to prove, that determination.
Exactly. And that, my friend, makes for a dangerous opponent. You don't want to be the team facing them when they've got that look in their eyes.
Not a chance. But you know what else stood out to me? And I bet you caught it too. The defense. Some key players out, and yet they kept Seattle's offense quiet all night long.
Outstanding, weren't they? Look at the run game. They shut it down. 52 rushing yards. That's impressive.
Yep.
Especially considering how Seattle's offensive line has been, well, how many holes have they opened up these past few weeks?
It really was like they were playing with, I don't know, a different level of intensity this time. Swarming to the ball, those tackles, those 2 interceptions, especially that first one early in the game, talk about a momentum shift.
Oh, absolutely crucial. Those turnovers, and that's what can really take the wind out of a team's sails. Gave the 49ers offense the chance to settle in, find a rhythm.
And speaking of rhythm, we talk about Deebo Samuel for a second. The guy is a walking, talking highlight reel. How many times can you say first time in NFL history? First wide receiver with 20-plus receiving touchdowns, ND 20-plus rushing touchdowns. How does Shanahan even come up with this stuff?
Well, you got to hand it to him. He's got a knack for finding the right players to execute his vision. But Deebo is one of a kind, isn't he? A threat every time he touches the ball.
It's almost unfair, isn't it?
Okay.
Lined up as a wide receiver 1 minute, running back the next. I swear, sometimes he even takes those direct snaps. Defenses must look at him and just, what are we even supposed to do with this guy?
And that right there, that unpredictability, that's Shanahan's secret weapon. You never know where the next play's coming from.
It's true. Trying to plan for the 49ers offense, it's got to be like a kitchen chameleon or something. You think you know what they're going to do, and then bam, they change it up on you.
Right.
But Deebo can't do it all alone, can he? They're going to need contributions from everyone, the whole team, if they want to make a real run in the playoffs.
100%. It's going to take everyone, a real team effort. And that brings us back to that word. Consistency. Can they string these wins together week after week? Or will we see those old habits creeping back in? That's the big question mark.
And you know what? That's what makes this next stretch of games so fascinating. Because we're about to find out. This is where we see what this team is really made of. This is it, right? This next stretch, this is where we see if the 49ers are the real deal.
A real test, no doubt. This next batch of games on their schedule, it's a gauntlet, and the stakes sky high. But they can capture that same energy, that fire they had on Thursday night. Who knows? The sky's the limit.
That's the exciting part. That potential is definitely there. You can see it, but potential can only take you so far in this league. At some point, you got to deliver.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And it all comes back to that word. Consistency. That's the million-dollar question for this team. Can they, week in and week out, can they string some wins together? Or are we going to see, well, same old 49ers falling back into those bad habits?
And that, my friend, is where coaching comes in. Can Kyle Shanahan, can he keep this team on track? Keep them hungry, focused? No one's doubting his X's and O's as a genius. But can he get the most out of his guys, those key moments when it really counts?
That's the question, right? The million-dollar question. But something's different now, I think. Seems like he's got that fire back, that hunger. You can see it in his eyes, hear it in his voice. And even better, it's trickling down. It's spreading to the players.
You're right. I see it too. They want this. You can feel it when you watch them play. But it's a long season, man. A lot can happen between now and the playoffs.
Oh, tell me about it. The NFL. It'll break your heart. Injuries, bad bounces, just bad luck, momentum swings you wouldn't believe. It's a fickle beast.
No doubt. But you know what? That's why we love it, right? The drama, the unpredictability keeps us coming back for more.
Every Sunday or Thursday or Monday, it's a new story, a whole new chapter in the NFL season. And these 49ers, well, they're writing a pretty darn compelling one. I'll give them that.
They are. And I can't wait to see how it ends. So, last question just for you, big picture. What's the takeaway from this game? What should we be watching for the rest of the way?
For me, it all boils down to one thing, the mental game. Can they keep their heads on straight? Can they maintain this level of intensity, this focus, this hunger to win? Because if they can bottle that up and carry it with them, watch out, NFL, this 49ers team is going to be a tough out for anyone.
Talent, Andy Hart. Yeah, that's a dangerous combination. It's always a pleasure breaking down the game with you.
The pleasure is all mine, truly.
And to everyone listening, do yourselves a favor. Keep an eye on these 49ers. They might just surprise us all.
That's the beauty of the NFL. Anything's possible. Until next time, everyone, keep diving deep.